Today we're going to be talking about the Greek god Pan, and this is very important because we're under Pan energy at this time. Now, the Greek god Pan and the Baphomet are essentially the same energy or the same deity. When we talk about these Greek mythological deities, we want to keep in mind that they don't exist as the state you see in these pictures. There's not a horned dude walking around on the planet anywhere. I really can't say that in all 100% truth. Hey, could be. What I really want you to understand is this, that the whole thing about these Greek mythological deities is that they represent energies or ideologies that have been seeded into the mind of humanity at particular times. So you got to understand that before we move any further, that when we talk about these deities, we talking about energies or sort of like feelings or an attitude and ideology. So during the ancient times, certain ancient cultures had their own deities because certain groups of people had different attitudes or different energies in their environment that they harnessed. So understand that Pan is a Greek god, and the people who created this god was in pandemonium, and they were in panic mode. In my previous videos, I stated to y'all about how all of these gods are just mythological interpretations of real life phenomena or even elements or certain points in human philosophy. You know what I mean? So each god came into existence during different times, and there are some that was created at the same time. We're not talking about these gods was created by thunder and lightning of some higher god or something. We talking about actually literally created from the mind of man. So understand that all of these gods we're reading about are creations of man, okay, who was personifying an idea or an energy or an aspect to their reality. So all of this is important so we understand that Pan can be represented in other ways in other cultures and may mean good. So for example, when you look at what Pan is according to Greek mythology, let me read the definition for you. Pan is the god of the wild shepherds and flocks, nature of mountain wilds and rustic music, and companion of the nymphs. So we understand that Pan is a very sexual god, and he also rapes women, and he's also involved with pedophilia, and we're going to get into pansexuality later in this video as well, because that ties into this also. Understand that the god Pan is a result of a people who were in panic, and when you go years in panic, everything is thrown out of whack, even your sexuality. So what came with the god Pan in Rome was pansexuality, because when a group of people is in pandemonium, their true nature changes. So you start straying away from even your true biology and what you are, and we get confused as what we are as creatures. And that's why a lot of these gods you may see with a human legs with the horns, but the human aspects. So these are confused gods, people. You got to keep that in mind, all right? So understand that Pan is a very sexual god, frivolous sex, and when it comes to pansexuality, like I said, we're going to get into that later and let y'all know exactly what that is. There was also many gods like Pan before him, all right, older forms of this same energy, all right, like there's a god named Faunus that I will be doing a video on because that's good to understand also. So one thing I want to point out also about when you say Pan is even though Pan is a root word, that it also has a root word, and that the root word of Pan is Pa. And as I stated in previous videos, Pa is the root word of patriarch. So Pa refers to the patriarch system. Now the opposite of patriarch would be matriarch. So understand that marriage is a form of matriarch, or the Ma root word, Ma'at, that we practice in ancient Kemet, or what you see in a beehive with the feminine aspect in the forefront. That's the Ma system, or the matriarch marriage. Now the opposite of that would be parage, or the patriarch system, where it's normally a homosexually based culture and a male driven theos, and that is completely off balance because the feminine aspect is the life-bringing aspect, all right? So understand that we're talking about a patriarchal god here when we're talking about Pan, which is also the Baphomet. Understand that Pan is also a pagan god. And keep in mind that the root word of pagan is pa also. We are under pan energies today. We are in panic mode today. And how do they get us under this pan energy? Is through the media. That's why I keep telling y'all to cut your TVs off. If they can get you to panic, then you're going to be off balance. Panic is not a normal state of being, people. It's okay to panic. For example, if someone walk up on me now and give me a reason to panic, that's okay. But if they leave and I panic for the rest of my life, that's not a natural state to live in. All right. So if you live in a state of panic, then you're under the god Pan, and you're in a culture that worships Pan, but they are unaware of it, because to worship Pan is to emit Pan energies. What is that? What kind of energies do the god Pan love? Well, the god Pan love panic. The god Pan love pandemonium. The god Pan love separation. And you will realize that we all are under the god's Pan energy right now, and that the only way you can get from under this energy is to come out of pandemonium. And to do that, you got to stop panicking, brothers and sisters. Even if you say, okay, I got to panic because I got to react to something that they're about to do. Whatever you do is going to be foolish and going to get you killed if you do it while you panicking. So understand that that's one of the first things you got to learn as a soldier in any military. All right. Now, panic is also associated with fear, and love and courage is the only thing that can counteract that. Now, let's get into some more deep stuff about this god Pan. So Pan is this goat creature you're seeing, and he has the hindquarters, legs, and horns of a goat. And it's the same manner, as I said, of fun and satire. Satire was another Greek god, and we know that satire is a form of writing. All of this is important because Pan was also associated with very intense criticism, meaning that when you deal with Pan energies, you deal with a type of energy that criticizes others very intensely. All right. And we know that's the society we live in today. Most of our television is based on that alone. So Pan is associated with criticism, that type of energy. I just told you these gods are personifications of energy that we are under, people. Now, when we talk about satire, that's another form of criticism or a form of writing. That's a predecessor of this god Pan. I'll do future videos on fun and satire, even Pangu in the future. Let's move on here. Now, one thing you got to keep in mind is that Pan, the Baphomet, and all of these horned gods are the same deity. That includes the devil or Satan as well. All of these gods represent the same energy, people. Fear, panic, pandemonium, mayhem, chaos. All right. And it's all rooted in heliocentrism. So all of this ties into the flat earth truth that we are receiving in this time. That truth is the only thing that can get us out of our heliocentric state of pandemonium, because the root of all of this is the cosmology, y'all. So as I said, all of these horned gods are the same thing. To show you what I mean about this similarity, Pan is also a musical god, just like they said Satan was, and just like all of his predecessors. So we understand that Satan was a brilliant musician, and every time we see this god Pan, he carries the flute because he's a god of musician. Another horn god you can compare this to back in ancient Kemet is Hathor. Hathor was the horn god of Kemet, which was a calf, or what you read about in the Bible, the golden calf, which was over music. Okay, the cows make the moo sound, and that's the root word of music. Okay, and that's where that come from. Back in ancient Africa, we know that the drum was created and that your first form of music came from the motherland. So that is what you would say is a matriarchal form of this energy. That is what I would call this energy in its proper place. This is what happens when this energy is harnessed. You get a god like Hathor, which is a beautiful golden calf. And if you read about Hathor in ancient Kemet, you'll see that it's none of this pandemonium and chaos crap that we read about in Pan. So again, I want to point out to you that all of these gods are just different energies or mind states that are personified by the people. All right. And we understand that these same concepts, when they're personified by Greek culture, we get the evil side of these concepts. All right. Because the rise of Rome was the fall of the true system of nature. It was the fall, basically, of the proper order of the cosmos and the way things should be. And it was even before the rise of Rome, because the rise of Rome was actually just a result of everything that went on to make all of this possible. So Rome ended up being the empire that was a result of all the hard work of pushing his lie and going on crusades, destroying the truth. And all of our reality can be personified in these deities. So when we look at the news and look at the state of humanity today in pandemonium, we're talking about the devil or the Baphomet or the Greek god Pan, or what they call the horned gods. All of these deities represent that state of humanity, what we are in today. And another thing that you guys like to listen to on the internet is Pandora, which is another Greek god with this Pan root. But this deity is a goddess, actually. She's a Greek goddess. I'll be doing a video on Pandora in the future, too.